And that has, sorry, we just got the notification that we're being recorded. And that's a 68% increase in just 1 year alone. I'm sure that many of you have seen this in the increase in rental and cost of homes in the area. As you can see, it's been a 23% increase in rent in just 1 year. And that's the highest rate of increase in the nation. This is leaving us with 50,000 affordable housing units needed in order to meet the growing need in the community. A lot of those individuals affected are children. And as you can see, there was a 300% increase in unsheltered students, meaning that they are living in sheds or storage units or in cars. And there's a prediction that there will be 7,000 children this year who will go homeless. So it's a dire landscape we are operating in. And yet we're finding ways to do it. Donnie? The lack of affordable housing is causing this increased need and remains one of our greatest hurdles. And it's obviously been compounded by the pandemic. At Families Together, we believe that every family deserves a home and that no child should ever have to wonder where they're going to sleep at night. And so the individuals that you will see that we serve are largely children. Last year, sorry about that. Last year, we served 482 children in 205 families. Most of those children are under the age of 12. And so they are very young and are greatly affected by experiencing homelessness. So what makes us unique? How are we different? There are many organizations who assist in the housing continuum of care in Wake County. However, we're first and foremost an organization that serves family and makes that our priority. We will keep families together in emergency shelter units. They're in non-congregate shelters, which they would experience in other places and would then force them to be separated. Here, we make sure a family is in one unit in a private apartment on site or elsewhere. Housing has also become more complex, and so Families Together has responded by expanding the range of housing solutions from bridge, transitional to permanent housing. And thus has increased our capacity to help more and more families. We also engage in a lot of strategic partnership with other organizations within our community so that we're not duplicating labor. This means that we're more efficient and really helping in the ways that we do best. But most significantly, we offer long-term housing, comprehensive, holistic wraparound support that will ensure more long-term success for the families that we serve. Our mentor advocates will be with a family for up to a year, making sure they get that ongoing support. The stakes are incredibly high. The challenges are incredibly great. In our 43-year history, Families Together has grown, evolved, and adapted to respond to the growing community challenges and ensure that we have continued positive, life-changing impact on those families that we serve. So that brings me to the main focus. We are inviting you to come into Families Together and go on a tour. We are excited to be joined by our Housing and Family Services staff members who will share the different elements of Families Together responses to these challenges from different areas in our facility. First, we have Taniscia Davis, the Shelter Mentor Advocate, and Jennifer Paul, Acting Executive Director, who are stationed upstairs right now in one of our emergency housing units. Then we have Erin Hill Carter, Stabilization Team Lead, and Faith Godfrey, Affordable Housing Mentor Advocate, who will be joining you in our program room. I'm pointing to where all the rooms are, and will provide you an overview of our housing solutions program. And then Meredith Davis will be over here in our reception area. She's our behavioral health mentor advocate, and she will be joined with Harriet Reynolds, our family empowerment lead, and will walk us through all the holistic services, those services that our families will receive in ongoing support for a year after their permanent housing. So thank you, ladies. We really appreciate that you're here. I'm going to tell you how this is going to functionally operate. So we are going to be sending you into breakout rooms where you will be going on your tour. You will learn about a featured area for 10 minutes, 7 of which you will get a presentation, and then your host will open the floor to questions. If you do have a question, please navigate to that button at the bottom of your screen that says reactions, smiley face, and raise your hand, and your host will call on you should you have a question. And after the 10 minutes, you will get a little warning that says you have 1 minute left. Well, I guess at 9 minutes, you'll get your 1 minute warning. And then your host is actually going to be the one who's navigating. And you all will stay in one room and you will have 10 minutes with each of our 3 featured areas. All right. I think we are ready to go on our tour. Sarah, can you send us to our tour stops?
Hello, group. My name is Jennifer Paul, and I'm the Acting Executive Director at Families Together. I'm here with Taniscia Davis, our Emergency Shelter Mentor Advocate, and we are sitting in one of our emergency shelter apartment units. You can see the kitchen over here behind us. This is a 3-bedroom apartment unit. We have 6 of these units just like this on site, the same location as our office in East Raleigh off New Bern Avenue. And what makes our emergency shelter unique is that we prioritize families that are most at risk of separation in a traditional shelter setting. So that means that families with a father or an older male child would be prioritized to come here. Also larger families with a lot of children who might not be able to remain together if they were in a more traditional setting, shelter where it would have congregate rooms with bunk beds. These are all individual private units. We also have hotel rooms that we provide and use as emergency shelter now. We started this the hotel program about a year ago with funding from Wake County, and we have 15 rooms that are used for emergency shelter. The location we are in right now, as I said, is in East Raleigh. We're in a pretty quiet residential setting. We have a really nice playground outside that is great place for the kids to get out and play as they are going through this crisis. We see that as an important component in their just helping them with their social emotional well-being. But I am going to hand it over to Taniscia, who's going to talk about her role as our emergency shelter mentor advocate and share a little bit more.
Hi, again, my name is Taniscia, and as she said, my title is Emergency Shelter Mentor Advocate. Just a little bit about my role and what I do is basically I basically case manage the clients that are either on site or in the hotels. When I mean case management, that might mean getting them referrals to various different services. Sometimes with the hotel clients and the clients on site, they might be matched with other organizations. We might partner with the organizations to make sure that the client has a wraparound services. Not only that, with the referral process, we might connect them with with Ken, who is our housing navigator, to find housing for them, as well as we, make referrals to like if they need clothing, like notes in the pocket. We might coordinate with McKinney Vento if the kids need services for school, as well as we might work with them as far as their behavioral, mental health, or medical needs that they might be dealing with. Not only that, for the hotel clients, we provide payment for their hotel stay, as well as, again, we go to the on-site to meet with them and just gather information and make sure they're doing good for the whole time of their hotel stay. And then the other thing is that most of our clients come through the Wake County partnership through coordinated entry. A lot of times when we receive our matches, we complete an assessment when we have vacancies. And then what we do is we'll go through and list all the different things that they might need. During that time, we might complete forms to determine what housing needs they might need, what barriers they might be dealing with during that time. and anything as far as employment or educational needs they might need. For the on-site clients, we normally give them up to 90 days to stay on site. We can extend it based on whatever they might need or based on any other coordination with other outside partnerships. For the hotel clients, we also, they stay on at the hotel for 4 months. We can also coordinate based on their needs or based on assessment of their needs, we can extend it to as well. And also it's based on available funding as well for them. When it comes to the clients assessing their basic needs as far as housing, we complete a form and goes through what they're looking for. Again, we also address those barriers, and then we find ways to address those barriers. Especially when it comes to budgeting, I go over their budget with them, ask them, what financial things they're looking for, the goals, and then we coordinate through that. Our whole goal here at Families Together is that we don't want to tell people what to do. We want them to have the opportunity to live out their dreams and their goals. And we're just here to guide the bus and make sure that they experience, have a good experience. And not only that, that they can dream again. Because a lot of times when you're experiencing homelessness, you're always thinking about the risk factors and having to live day to day. But our goal is to make sure that you understand, hey, you can live again, you can dream again, and these are the ways that we can help you and guide you. A lot of times we even connect them with employment partnerships like Wait Tech to get them any services like get their associate's degree or get them connected with the Propel Scholarship so they can get a certification too as well. And other various different great organizations out here that provide certifications for various different fields. And then again, we examine the expenditures, we examine what they are spending their money on and teaching them, because sometimes they don't know how to spend their money. And again, we focus on that as well. And then another thing that we do is our financial workshops, or our workshops period, as far as housing, as far as financial, and as far as employment. We do workshops. Again, this week, we even have a workshop with self-help, one of our great partnerships to go over clients' credit and help them with that. So we love to do our workshops to provide additional support and education service for them.
And we partner with, so as far as the workshops, that is an example of partnership. Taniscia is bringing in Self-Help Credit Union, also working with Salvation Army. That's where the workshop will actually be held. So all the families that are staying at Salvation Army will have access to the workshop. We invite all of our families to go as well. We provide, I think you were just telling me that kids will have a program going on simultaneously, as well as a meal. Everybody gets a meal. And I think 4-H, can you say 4-H?
4-H. So we currently partner with 4-H program. And so what we do is we have our own 4-H club. And during that time, we have our behavioral mentor advocate, Meredith, who does the activities with the kids. Because another thing is we also don't want to leave the kids out. Even though we focus on adults, sometimes we also want to focus on the kids. And another thing is that, of course, we partner with McKinney-Vento just to make sure that the kids have the wraparound services. But for the 4-H program, we have started our own charter. We're in the process of getting that started, where we can provide educational for various things like nutrition, financial education for kids as well, so that they can develop and grow and even learn more.
I think I'm trying to think of one other thing I think we didn't cover is that as Danielle at the very beginning was going over the challenges and how the trends, the community or external pressures are growing. It's harder and harder for families that are extremely low income to maintain housing. So homelessness is on the rise. In addition to expanding our shelter through the addition of the hotel rooms, which essentially has tripled the size of our shelter capacity in about a year, we are getting ready to do a addition to the unit the building we're in right now. We will be adding a 2-story addition to this building, which will bring on 4 more shelter units. and they will be different sizes. So currently we have 6 3-bedroom units here on site. We're going to add 4 more units, but there'll be 3 2-bedrooms and an efficiency. And then the 2 of the 2 bedrooms, which will be on the top floor, will have the ability to be connected so that we can have larger families. We only have about a minute, maybe less than a minute now for any questions. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that we've gone through this much time. Is there maybe one question?
I have a question.
Yes.
So is the emergency shelter, is it a sort of a holding, waiting for affordable housing? Or does it also operate solely as an emergency shelter?
So with emergency sheltering is not so much holding them for housing, because sometimes they do get matched with other organizations. So they might get that referral for them, and then we're just coordinating with them as far as, making sure that we provide our own resources for the clients while they're waiting to get housed with that other organization. For on-site or any other hotel services, if they're matched with us, we also provide them with our services as well. We might, refer them to our KIN, like I was saying before, KIN housing navigator. Even when they're matched with us just for emergency shelter, we try to find ways to get them rapidly rehoused, which is called, they consider it rapid exit. So a lot of times when we do match them with Ken, he's finding them places and looking for them, and he's our housing navigator. So a lot of times during that time, even though they're in our program for emergency services, during that time, we're trying to hit the ground running to get them where they need to go. Is not someone, and we can also extend it based on any necessary services that they might need, or due to funding as well. I hope that answers your question.
So I'll just add that the way the coordinated system works within our community, when Taniscia says we get matched, that means that the coordinated access system will sometimes matches the family that is in our emergency shelter, 2 families together for the rehousing services. Other times they're matched with another partner agency to do the rehousing services. And that's decided out at the court community level.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, Deborah, please.
Yes, and so just to confirm that I heard correctly, there are 15 hotel rooms. And did you say 5 apartments for the emergency shelter?
Yes.
Okay.
15. Yep, we have 15 hotel rooms and then the 6 on site, and we're going to add another 4 units here. I think we're about to be moved in just a few seconds, so I'll wrap it up, but we'll be adding another 4 units in a construction project where we're adding on to the building that we're in. That will be a new addition, a second 2-story addition to this building, and it will add 4 more units of varying sizes. So there'll be smaller size and increase our efficiency.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I think we have a question.
Do you accept clients with a current addiction?
Yes, we do have clients that, some clients that do have an addiction problem. We tend to not only, the only thing that we do not accept for clients is that if they have a current criminal offense of violence in the past 2 years, or if they are a sex offender, we do not allow them on site, and that's because of the fact that we have families with small kids. But a lot of times, even if they're on drugs or even if they're experiencing other health issues, we definitely accept them on site as well. And we try to, again, get them connected to various different resources to get them the help that they need. So I think we had one question.
That was a follow-up question from Vivian, was do we have success getting people with addiction into recovery?
Unfortunately, I don't have that information. Maybe Jen, if you know some people that
I
might.
mean, I can just say that we provide the connection to the resources in the community that would work with them to help them, and so we get them into recovery. And we could probably circle around back with more information and get that to you, Vivian. So I'm sorry, I don't know the exact answer to that question.
I have a
think-
quick question.
Sure.
You know, you mentioned hotel a couple times, and I think probably a few years ago for folks that are on this call, you know, we kind of talked hotel for homeless was sort of a, I don't know, a dirty word, right? And I feel like that changed a little bit. So can you guys speak to that for a second?
Yes, so the hotel, again, just to give you a little bit background about the hotel, normally the hotels last for 4 months. We pay for the hotel for up to 4 months. Again, it can be extended based on what they need and what, you know, how they're progressing through the program. But with the hotels, we normally try to pick a place that is near their schools, near transportation, or near their employment, just to make sure that the clients do not feel like we're just picking a hotel and telling them to stay there. It's more so like, where do you feel comfortable? And basically giving the family the idea of you're first, you decide what's best for you. And based on that information that the family provide, we might match them with the hotel. A lot of the hotels are really nice. And some of them even offer kitchenettes to where they can cook as well. Especially some of the extended stays have kitchenettes where, and then we can sometimes even provide pots and pans for the families.
You know, let me just add that this kind of grew out of the pandemic when a lot of the shelters had to close down for safety reasons. And so motels were used more widely as shelter. That in conjunction with the growing need and the lack of shelter capacity in our community to meet the need, the community has turned to using motel rooms as a way to add to our shelter capacity for the community. But it's a temporary, it's not like, you know, I think, Catherine, what you're referring to is families that were having to resort to living in a motel ongoing with no other option. Our goal is to make it short and move them in to a permanent place in the community as quickly as possible. We have about 2 minutes. So are there any other questions? I don't know if I mentioned, we are going to be expanding our shelter here. We have plans to build a 2-story addition on the building that we're in right now, which will add 4 new units, 4 new apartment units. They will be of varying sizes, 3 2-bedrooms and 1 efficiency. 2 of the 2 bedrooms will be able to be joined together to form a 4-bedroom so that we can accommodate a very large family. Sometimes we have families with 5 or even 6 kids staying on site. And so it'll give us a range of sizes so that we're more efficient in how we're accommodating the various sizes of families that come in. I see a question from Jen Hamilton, and then I think that might be the last one.
Yeah, so just curious about on the topic of the hotels, do those hotels, I'm assuming like they work in partnership with you, do they offer a discount on those rooms? Are you having to pay, you know, as Families Together having to pay the same rate that anybody, you know, if I went and booked that hotel right now?
Well, we definitely try to get a cheaper rate. What we do is normally we go onto hotels.com and we shop around what's the, you know, get a deal for them. Not only that, through hotels.com, we also get, depending on how many rooms we book, we get like a few nights free. So that reduces the overall cost of the hotel and things like that. So that's how we're able to save. And sometimes we also coordinate with the hotel and they'll say, we'll keep the same rate based on how extended we're staying, the client staying at the hotel.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? I guess we're still here. I think we're going to get moved any second. So let's see.
Well, my name is Erin Hill Carter. Thank you for joining us today. And I am the stabilization team lead here at Families Together.
Good afternoon. My name is Faith Godfrey, and I'm the Permanent Housing and Stabilization Mentor Advocate.
And you are joining us today from our conference room where we host client intakes and also have our staff meetings here. So thank you once again for joining in with us. We want to talk briefly about some housing options and solutions that Families Together has come up with to try to better serve the families that we have. So who do we serve? We serve families that have children. They can be transitioning from homelessness to stable housing, to help to identify sustainable housing for these families. We help families that are homeless without any shelter options. We also assist families that are living in hotels, motels. We connect with these families through the Wake County Coordinated Entry System. We also can connect through the Wake County school system through programs such as McKinney-Vento. Families can be matched with Families Together for emergency shelter options and also rapid rehousing services. Families Together, and just before the pandemic, Families Together really looked at some of the things that we were facing. One of the things was looking at how can we provide affordable housing options for our families. Families Together launched an affordable housing initiative, looking at market rate rental units and understanding that it became most impossible to be able to help extremely low income families to be housed. Families Together had to become innovative and very creative in our approach when looking at addressing the housing crisis. Families Together really wanted to focus on the needs of those that we're serving and how we can do that. We understood that relationships and being connected with the community resources was vital. We have determined that breaking away from traditional options, rapid rehousing services, really needed to look at how can we be creative and focus on what is most important, that is keeping families together and keeping them stable. Families Together came up with an option, basically looking at affordable housing initiatives, which Families Together can own properties and we can place families in those properties. That helps the family to not have to wait so long to find those housing options. We were able to place them immediately, and it does work. Families Together is able also to help with putting families in these homes and then helping with the housing authority. They have allowed families to get those vouchers. We accept those vouchers through having this affordable housing initiative. If the client has a voucher, Families Together can assist with their utilities and paying those utilities, but the family themselves are responsible for a portion of their rent and the voucher covers the other amount. If the client is housed in one of our properties, if the client has graduated from our property, we can also assist them with intense case management services. And also, if they are a current client, we can help them with first month and last month rent, and then maybe a month or two rent on the front side of that. And what that does is it helps the family to have that cushion. It helps them that when they do start to pay their rent, they're prepared for that. And it leads to a better success of them being able to be self-sufficient and stable. And that's what we want. Families Together also looks at the rent of the client, and we look at no more than 30% of the income of that family once they're housed in our property. Families Together may provide the family with a financial agreement, again, to go over and help them understand their budgeting, the importance of the budgeting, importance of knowing how much money they have coming in and what all their expenses, and how can they save a little bit of money on the other end of that. Families Together really also assist clients to make sure that they know that we're here for them, not just for a period of time, but through the duration of the program. We want to see them succeed. Faith is now going to discuss some more of our housing options that we have come up with that really helps families to sustain.
Thank you, Erin. Some of the affordable housing options that we have here at Family Together. One is our bridge transitional housing. These units, the lease is in the client's name, and they are able to receive services from us for up to a year. We currently only have 2 on Athens Drive. However, due to the Affordable Housing Initiative, another triplex is being renovated as we speak and should be completed by the end of this summer. So that would give us a total of 5 bridge transitional housing. We also have our purchase units, which are our permanent housing. The leases are also in the client's name as well, and they are dispersed throughout different parts of Wake County. We have our master lease units. Those are more so our short-term housing. They can receive services for only up to 6 months. And we have a total of 5 of those as well. We have our units through partnerships. Thankfully, we have an awesome housing navigator that's on our staff here at Families Together, and he has gained some very strong relationships with different apartment complexes and property management. Just to name a few, we have partnership with Crystal Cove Apartments, Beacon Ridge Apartments, Brookview Management, AMG Realty. That's just some of the few. All of our clients receive referrals. We receive referrals from our clients through Access Hub. And that's for all of our housing options that we have. Our bridge transitional and our master lease units, they also send in referrals through Wake County Public Schools as well. Okay, so they can come from a different pool as well. The services that we provide for our clients range from case management, which encompass the family holistically. We don't just look at the parents, we look at the children as well too, whether they need before and after care, or they need transportation to and from school. We also provide housing and family services, provide financial and employment services as well too. So we have a vast amount of opportunities for our clients, and due to our 87% success rate, it shows that if they do the work and really put their head in the game, they will definitely be successful in the long run. And ultimately, that's our main focus, is to prepare the families to not only be stable and successful while they're in our program, but also post-graduation. So we don't want to cut anyone off. We had that experience the past 2 sessions, so I do want to open the floor for questions if there are any.
Kimberly, can you put in the chat, what's the average length of stay in emergency housing?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you. Can you repeat that again, please?
Oh, you can hear us. Can you hear us?
Yes.
What's the average length of stay in the emergency housing before they transition?
Mm-hmm.
So for the transitional for our emergency shelter, it's up to 90 days. During that time, we are, researching housing options, really trying to make sure that we are helping them to get on their feet and have what they need so that once they transition, they are prepared.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I stepped out, so I may have missed this, but when you talked about the bridge transitional housing and said that the lease was in the client's name, what happens after that first year?
During their time when they're working with us within the program, we're doing the intense case management, breaking down any barriers that they may have, linking them up with the housing navigator to where once all those barriers are broken down, we're going to start an interim at 6 months. That's when we're going to start looking for housing, start to have them apply for different housing and things of that nature. So once they leave from us, they can then in hopes get housing in, they can in hopes go to permanent housing. My apologies. If for any reason, when we get to the end of that 1 year mark and they are still having some barriers that need to be broken down, once we evaluate everything, it is okay for them to get an extension, but they just go into it with the mind frame of it just being up to 1 year.
Is there a benefit to it being in their name? Does that help them when they're looking for housing?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, because number one, it can build their credit, especially while we're working on their credit and stuff on our end through the housing and family services.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We have about 35 seconds. If anybody else has a question, we'd be happy to take it.
I just want, in terms of when the families, I guess, leave and are on their own, is there like a continued follow-up through the years afterwards? What's the?
Yeah, so we have a family advocate actually who is actually a graduate of our program and has come back and worked with us. She's with us, she's amazing. So we do have that, and we do that for an additional year.
I have a couple of questions. What is your success rate? How do you have a percentage of that? How many people go into your program that just don't make it?
That's a great question. You know, and I don't have an actual percentage that I can tell you that I know of. But what I can say is that with all of the programs and all of the initiatives that we have come up with and that we've really, you know, been working on, we have found that our clients really do thrive with the ability to work with our MAs in an intense manner, meeting with them monthly for that face-to-face stabilization plan, setting those goals short and long term.
Last session, I think you guys could touch on this. In the last session, the speaker made a reference to having clients in Butner. And so that kind of like it started questions that didn't get a chance to be answered. Like, so can you explain? I think everybody, all the incoming people are in Wake County area, but you end up placing them wherever you can find and wherever they're willing to go. Is that, I'll let you talk to that.
Yes, ma'am, that is the case. Like I said, our housing navigator, he has gained awesome relationship with multiple people. So we do have some private landlords that, you know, we are connected with as well too. So even though we mainly house Wake County, we do have some extra partnerships elsewhere as well too.
We have to look at all of the different barriers that some of our clients are met with. And so building those relationships are just so integral when it comes to the clients to be able to be placed in housing. Some of our families are just met with some really tough situations, evictions, and a lot of companies are just not going to feel comfortable housing them. So that housing navigator piece is just so very important in the relationship. So we focus on being connected with those resources and talking with those and letting them know what we do. And we want to continue to do that and really provide that housing and get the funding we need to help those families. I think we're leaving. No. But thank you.
Wait, hold on. You've got 1 minute. Jen Hamilton was asking a question. Go, Jen.
Yeah, I was just curious. Hey, I was curious if someone had a property that they wanted to be utilized for a program like this, is that something that you would be open to? Somebody's like, I got a house and I would really love to, you know, make this something you could use. Is that a possibility?
Absolutely.
You talk about the holistic family support services that we provide to our families. So for school and education, for our school age kids, our mentor advocates will make sure that the family is connected to the school social worker and that the school social worker is aware that the family is experiencing homelessness. And this is so our families can receive the services that they are able to receive, such as transportation, which is a big one. We want to make sure our kids are able to get to and from school and that homelessness is not a reason that they're not able to get there. For our little ones that are maybe not enrolled in school yet, we often refer to Project Catch with Salvation Army. They are part of Salvation Army, but they also work with kids experiencing homelessness, not only in Salvation Army shelter, but families throughout Wake County. So at Project Catch, they can do educational and developmental screenings for little ones to help identify any needs. And they also can help with childcare vouchers and getting them set up with childcare. So mom, dad, whoever's the adult in the household is able to go to work and know that kids are safe. The last one is furniture. So again, a lot of you may be familiar with Green Chair Project. It's a large, well-known nonprofit in Wake County. And once our family has been approved for an apartment or a home, we are able to refer them to Green Chair Project, and they can get a furniture package. They are able to pick that out, and they get to keep that furniture long after they are with Families Together. And they are an awesome organization and have a beautiful showroom of things that can be picked from. So next I will talk about behavioral health services. So of course, that is an area I work closely with. So for our families that have any mental health, substance use, or need for medication management, I will refer them to different agencies in the area or any therapists that have private practices. So I get background information about the family, learn about what type of insurance, help them understand it, whether it's Medicaid, they're uninsured, whatever it is. I want to make sure that they are aware before they show up for that first appointment and that they follow through if that is their goal. So I will follow up with the agency and the client to make sure they get set up and are moving forward in a positive way. Some non-traditional behavioral health services that I might recommend or refer out to is peer support services, which is a great program for clients, and it is with those that have lived experience with mental health or substance use. So they can help with those day-to-day activities and can support them after they're not with Families Together anymore. Other ones are mentorship programs or support groups. One mentorship organization that we've developed a partnership with is Seasons Village. So their goal is to work with single mothers who are wanting to pursue education. And so we're passionate about that as well. And so we are glad to have made that connection, and we can help moms get enrolled in that program. Another, of course, is what summer's coming up. And so we want to make sure that our kids are safe and active and having fun. And so we might connect them to the YMCA. They have subsidized programs, which is really great for our families. We also might refer to 4-H and Boys and Girls Club. So we can help get them signed up for those. So then the last one that I wanted to talk about is our workshops. So we host in-person workshops once a month. This Thursday, we will be hosted by Salvation Army, and the speaker will be Self-Help Credit Union. They will be speaking about credit building strategies, which is super important for our families because we don't want their credit to be a reason they're not able to rent or even long-term be able to buy a home. So that's something we work heavily with our families. And so we like to provide a variety of topics at our workshops. So in addition to the workshop, we have dinner that's provided and childcare for our kids. Not just in person though, we have virtual workshops. And so this is obviously a lot more accessible, but we still cover a lot of the same topics. And so we provide these once a month as well. One might be navigating the rental market. So for those who are maybe in shelter, that will help them with putting in applications and learning how to speak with landlords. One of my favorite workshops we've done in person last year was self-care strategies. So Erin Hill-Carter, who you've already heard from, she presented on self-care for the adults. And while they were speaking, I met with the kids and we did some age-appropriate activities with the kids about self-care strategies for them. So this is a quick snapshot of all the holistic family services that we provide here at Families Together, but I would love to answer any questions if anybody has them. For some reason, I cannot hear you if you come off mute. So if you have any questions, if you could please type them in the chat and I would be happy to answer them. Any questions? Anybody typing in the chat? There's one. What is the name of the Salvation Army program? So that is Project Catch. I would try to tell you the acronym. I think it's something, targeting homelessness. I'm not sure, but like I said, they are for all kids in Wake County that are experiencing homelessness. They're just housed within Salvation Army.
Childcare to support working parents.
Do you offer tutoring? No, we do not offer tutoring, but we do try to build those partnerships. One would be YMCA. They have Y Learning at certain schools. And so that is one of the agencies that we might refer out to. What percentage of families take advantage of your services? I could not tell you that off the top of my head. I could try to get that and get back to you, but I would say a large portion do try to take advantage. I believe, are you referring to behavioral health specifically? I think a lot of them do, the majority do, whether that's therapy or some might just need medication management or, like I said, peer support services. But also in that, I might recommend also any type of activity for kids that's not necessarily therapy, but still something that's enrichment for them, because that's super important. And when mom, dad, or whoever is experiencing homelessness, of course, they care about their kids and love their kids, but it's hard to get all the missing pieces together. So if they're not maybe ready to take that step with therapy, I will encourage some other things like summer camp. Did I hear you work with Western Wake Ministries? What about Habitat? Yes, we definitely refer to Western Wake Ministries. We have a large list of different pantries that we refer to. And Habitat, I haven't personally, but sometimes we do work with them.
We actually had a family that got housed.
Okay, so we did have a family get housed through Habitat for Humanity.
Go ahead and tell them that you'll be joining the.
Okay, so we will be joining back to the main room. Thank you all so much for your time and for your questions. And I hope you.
Okay, I'm going to answer this one question and then we're going to move on to the next section. This is, what is your long-term success rate with clients staying housed long term? So currently it's 81%. I think that was on one of our slides. That means that we are measuring family from when they get signed the lease to graduation from our program, which is a year after that date. And 81% achieve that date or another successful housing outcome. So we're very proud of that. And we think that our ongoing support of up to a year with our mentor advocates is a key to that success. So I want to welcome you all back here in one group and say my name. I think I introduced myself to everybody, but my name is Jennifer Paul. I'm the acting executive director at Families Together. I do want to thank our wonderful Housing and Family Services team for the tour. I also thank you for joining us. I hope you got a good glimpse or sense of the work that's being done here at Families Together and how we are working to adapt and evolve and respond to the growing challenges in our community. We do have a very brief video we're going to show now, and then I'm going to come back on and wrap us up.
Recent headlines like these likely have you worried and wondering what you can do to help. Wake County is experiencing a crisis of housing affordability, and it now takes about $10,000 for Families Together to house one family and provide the support necessary to set them up for long-term housing success. That's about 67% more than just a few years ago, but that is the reality we are up against. That is why we have launched the 40 Family Housing Challenge this spring. With your support, Families Together can help 40 families with children in our community access the special support necessary to transition from homelessness through a non-congregate emergency shelter, which keeps families together, to hopefully then move to our bridge housing, which enables families to build savings and increase life skills. And finally, move to permanent rental housing support, which allows families to obtain a lease in their own name and empowers them to feel ready for long-term success through the mentoring and holistic support of our team. When you join our 40 Family Housing Challenge, any amount you give will combine with donations from hundreds of others who share your belief that every family deserves a home.
All right, great, thank you. So as you have got a sense of the challenges, we also are pointing out that with the increased cost of housing, the cost to house families has gone up dramatically for Families Together. As the video pointed out, it now costs about $10,000 to house one family and has helped set them up for long-term housing success. And so we are wanting to take this opportunity to respond to a question you may have, which is what can you do to help? This spring, we have launched what we're calling the 40 Family Housing Challenge, and we would love for you to join us in this effort. Our goal is through the spring campaign to raise $400,000, and that will help us support 40 families as they move from homelessness to home and get that wraparound support to successfully maintain their housing in the long term. So we have a really unique opportunity coming up next week. And I'm going to excited to make the announcement that we are going to have a triple impact match week. Some of you may be familiar with our triple impact days in the past, where we've done one day at just a single day. But this week or coming week, we're going to open it up for 5 full days. Any donations during that week from April 24th to April 28th will be tripled in impact. We have an incredible group of match funders that have come together to create the challenge match fund for this of $85,000. And thanks to these generous match funders, we're able to offer you an opportunity to really have a greater impact, which means you'll triple the impact of your donation. And we do have a few examples of what that means. So these are examples of how your donation will have a much greater impact. If you give $25, it triples to $75, and that can help one child or 3 children have their first night in a warm bed. $100 can triple to $300, and that can provide that ongoing financial empowerment support that you may have heard about during the tour, where we provide one-on-one support with budgeting, money management, financial literacy, employment support, job connections. So really critical to building up the family's capacity to maintain housing long-term. Let's go to the next slide. $500 can become $1,500, and that's enough to provide that the deposits for water, electricity, gas for 3 apartments. $1,200 could become $3,600, and that would be enough to provide the rental deposits for 3 families transitioning from homelessness. So you can see your donation next week will make a huge impact and go even further than normal. Again, we'd love for you to save the date. The dates in this case from April 24th to the 28th to join our 40 Family Housing Challenge. You could, if you would like to get more details, please go to our website and you can look at our campaign page, which is at familiestogether.org/spring-campaign-2023. And you'll learn more about how your donation will have a greater impact when you give next week, and what more details about our spring campaign. I just want to end by saying thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking time from your day to reconnect with us. If you have already been with supporter Families Together for some period of time, and as some of you have been with us for, I could say decades. And then there are some of you who are joining us for the very first time. I hope you learned something today. We would love to be in touch with you and share ideas of other ways you can join with us. We do have volunteer opportunities and other ways you can engage. And we know that we can't solve this problem together. I mean, on our own, that the only way we can do this is together. This is what we're working on, is this huge societal problem, and it takes all of us working together to solve it. So this spring, we're going to work together to help 40 families move from homelessness to home. Thank you again, and hope we'll get to see you again soon.